Hello मेरे प्यारे दोस्तों. Hi my dear friends. I was speaking in Hindi of course. So I hope you all are doing fine. So this is another video to explain you further about the concept of Samkhya philosophy. And before going any further to the next Karika, that is the 13th Karika, I gave you this understanding of the 12th and the 11th Karika. I hope you understood that all these qualities about the Purusha and Prakriti which are there in universe, and it is completely different because it is consciousness and it is not consciousness. I am because I am. Let us think of this like that. Okay, I think because I am. You have heard about that quote, right? It speaks about yourself. You think because you are. This exists because I see it. This exists because I say that this exists. Okay. Okay, enough about the last karika. Now I'll talk about something which is there in the next karika. But before going any further into the next karika, I want you all to imagine of a scenario here. Imagine that you're lying in the bed in the midnight after the midnight hour is over, and your alarm rings early in the morning. And when your alarm rings, don't you feel that notion that, okay, let's just ring for more 5 minutes. I'll just wake up after 5 minutes. Let me just go to sleep for more 15 minutes. Don't you feel like that? We all feel like that. Everyone out there feel like that. Okay, until and unless you're a genius, of course. So, but after some time, you sleep for a while. Okay, but after some time, what do? You actually get up from the bed, and before getting up, you just think of a lot of things. You just think like, okay, I have to also work. I have to also go for study. Also have to complete all these chores for my for my students, for my family, for my childrens, for my younger siblings, for the all people out there, in order to be of service to yourself or some others or some other people. Okay, so you need to work, and because of that work you need to get up from that bed. After some point of time, you sleep for a while and then you get up. So after you get up, you're just rushing all around. Okay, let me just grab a cup of coffee, let me just do this chore, let me just do that, let me just make quick breakfast in order to get myself ready, let me just drink a cup of coffee so that I'll feel fresh and freshen up, and just go to my office quickly so that I'll not miss out on the job opportunity which I have, or maybe won't get late for my classes. You feel like that, right? So why am I explaining you this? I'll help you to understand that with the help of three gunas. So the Sankhya Karika 13 talks about the gunas. What is gunas? There are three kind of gunas which is there in Prakriti. We all understood that there is something called Purusha and there is something called Prakriti. What is Purusha, baby? Purusha is something which is pure consciousness. Okay, something this exists because I am saying that this exists. I exist because the consciousness in me exists. Otherwise, I'll not even create this video, right? So you exist, you are watching this video because something says that you should watch this video. It is your consciousness, it is not just your body. So here, one is consciousness and one is Prakriti. Prakriti is further divided into three gunas, and you know what? These three gunas exist in a perfect equilibrium state. In a perfect equilibrium state, it exists within the Mula Prakriti. For example, like let's just think of electricity. Okay, in electricity, the components and the essence of light and the glowing of light exist within the electricity, but it is not seen to us because we are not conscious enough for that, right? So this is what I'm trying to explain you here, that there are three gunas. First is rajas, second is tamas, and third is sattva. हम तीनों गुणों से बने हुए हैं. We all are meant in this world, we are all are made in this world because of these three gunas, and it is reflected in our personality, and we tend to be of different personality, we tend to have different personality, and we tend to keep that level of aura or maybe demeanor which is completely different from others, or maybe it can be similar from others as well, depending upon the person as well. So first let me just talk about rajas. Okay, so I gave you this example earlier. So when actually you get late or you don't feel like waking up, that is tamas, which is being lethargic, being lazy, you don't feel like doing anything. That is called the tamas. It speaks about inertia, it speaks about laziness, it speaks about confusion. When tamas dominates, there is a lot of stress inside your body, there is a lot of anxiety in your body, there is a lot of confusion in your body. So that is called tamas. Okay, that is also important because if you don't get sleep, if you don't get rest, you'll not be alive, right? So tamas is also important. Let's just speak about rajas. When the lady or let's just take an example of you, when you are getting up from the bed and you have this rush of feelings and you feel like, okay, let me just do something with just movement and all. So that is called rajas. It speaks about something kinesis, which is known as kinetic energy. Like for example, you're constantly in movement in order to do some work. For example, if I have to create this video, I have to think and then I have to act on it, and I have to be in movement in order to create this video. Okay, so that is called rajas. For example, you're working for the whole life, you're working day in and day out for making sure that you'll do good for your family or maybe for yourself. That is called rajas. That is also very important because all with sleep you can't do that, all with rest you can't really change the world, right? Or even yourself. Third is known as sattva guna. The sattva guna is said to be something very pure, something which is very knowledgeable, and something which is very wisdom based. Like this, like you getting off for work. Okay, so you're getting off of work and you're learning a lot of things over there. Like the example I gave you earlier, if I go and come like make this video, then I'm learning certain things which is actually dominating my sattva tendency. Okay, so am I a different person? Are you a different person because of these three gunas? No, you're not a different person. You are, because all this guna is actually dominating on certain point in your life, and you need to understand that at the proper level of consciousness. Okay, so what sage is trying to explain us here, that we all tend to have all these three gunas, which is very important for our life, but we don't really understand that, but with the lack of consciousness which is there inside us, and because of the lack of consciousness we think about prakriti a lot, because these gunas are intermixture. Okay, so what really happens is a very interesting part, I'll explain you. तो जो गुणास बनता है ना, that is because of the intermixture. The three gunas like exist in equilibrium state in prakriti, but when they're disoriented, then the evolution take place. When there is disorientation, think that like all these gunas are there, it is in equilibrium state. When the disorientation happens, that is how evolution happens. You can't exist, the things which is there in the world cannot exist without disequilibrium. Everything does not take place. The life itself, I exist because of the disequilibrium. I exist because of the emotions. I exist because of the hormones. I exist because of the energy. So you need to understand that. And that is what Sage Kapila also tries to make us understand, that he says that okay, this is consciousness and this is prakriti, and when the both collaborate they form mahat and they give to certain evolutes and evolents. But how can you make use of your consciousness? By understanding all these three gunas and actually seeing, okay, there are certain people in the society who are caregivers, there are certain people in the society who are businessmen. Of course we need to buy a pen from someone, right? We can't all just be the same. We can't all just be, you know, reading and being like a great knowledgeable person. We also need servants in our society. We also need doctors. We also need engineers. We also need civil servants. The society is in equilibrium state, but we don't really understand that because of the lack of consciousness. We tend to go for something which is not really us. I want you to understand your real nature, and that too from that level of consciousness which is there inside us. And that will happen after you gain a lot of knowledge for yourself, and that too of yourself, not about the Karika or about some other philosophy. This all will be waste, this all will be scattered if you don't really know yourself. Even I don't know myself, but I'm trying to understand that, right? So I hope you know yourself, and all the best for that. And thank you so much for watching my video. Take care of yourself.